Everybody's favorite season of barbecue festivals, barbecue competition, and barbecue cooking continues. And while National Barbecue Month and the summertime get all the barbecue kickoff headlines, for the past few years, the Carolina calendar year for barbecue really begins in Charlotte with the Carolina BBQ Festival. It's quickly becoming the Queen City's biggest annual barbecue event, bringing the best barbecue pitmasters from across the Carolinas and beyond into uptown Charlotte for a couple of days of fun and food, all in support of some great charitable causes. So today we've invited the festival's founders to join the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, and they, like the festival, are quickly becoming a couple of barbecue legends in their own right. It's Sweet Lew Donald, the smoke tender at Sweet Lew's Barbecue in Charlotte, and the events engineer behind the festival weekend, Erin Hunter, for Let's Meet Charlotte. Lewis, Erin, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yay, thank you so much. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, before we get too deep, let's lead with the biggest news so folks can mark their calendars right now. Is there going to be a year number 5 for the barbecue festival? When is it? Who's going to be involved? Give us the details.
Okay, so save the date. It is April 17th will be our kickoff. April 18th will be the festival. 2026, Charlotte, North Carolina, Victoria Yards and adjacent parking lot. So same venue. Lots of our friends are coming back, and I think we're going to have a whole lot of new ones.
All the same faces. We'll have a couple of guys that are celebrating 5 years with us, so that's super special. I think I'm going to speak a little bit about Friday night. You're going to see all local barbecue, a bunch of guys that haven't been with us. So we're going to spotlight them in Charlotte BBQ.
Yep, so it's year 5, and we're looking to have 25 pitmasters.
Wow, that's huge news. We're going to mark the calendar, save the dates right now, and look forward to getting more information about that. I know today we're going to talk about the festival's success in 2025, why the festival got started, how it's growing from there, and your perspective on the Charlotte food and event scene. And of course, you can find some of the folks in that food scene and in most of the pitmasters that have become regulars at the Carolina BBQ Festival, all at our website, lowslowbbqshow.com. We've got interviews with almost all those pitmasters, as well as our blog, and to sign up for our newsletter, visit lowslowbbqshow.com and sign up for that newsletter today. We'll keep the latest Carolina barbecue news coming to your inbox every Tuesday morning. And of course, we're including the latest and greatest news from the Carolina BBQ Festival, which we're going to learn more about today, especially when it comes to the 2025 edition, which Erin, Lewis, that seemed like the biggest and best one yet. Maybe give us a recap of the 2025 festival there at Victoria Yards.
Go for it.
I was going to say amazing, right? We could not have been more thrilled with the turnout, with our pitmasters. The weather, of course, has worked out for us every year, so fingers crossed. It's truly just such a fun time that, we're just so excited. We're so excited to see people having a good time, the pitmasters with their families. I mean, it is, we're very lucky. Like, I don't know. It was awesome. It was definitely awesome. And then definitely the biggest one. So until next year, right?
Right. And so this year y'all done a little bit of a different flair. I mean, there was the kickoff event. I know you've kind of had an opening warm up, but tell us how the kickoff really got things started and why you added that.
Well, that's later on in the questions, but that was our biggest surprise. I think
we did our homework.
Yeah, we did our homework. We're ready for you. And do not edit that part out. No, I think the kickoff, and again, it kind of made next year's event even more special. The kickoff was fun. We put something together. Just wanted to get it going. All the guys are showing up with their rigs, and they're there to hang out and introduce. Hogs are going on the pits, burn barrels being lit, that kind of stuff. And just wanted to get people together. But I think what we learned from that is our big surprise from 2025 was it's actually something that we can build on, and we use it as a Charlotte spotlight, right? Yeah. It's our Charlotte guys, and something that I'm trying to use ChatGPT to give me the right way to say it. But Saturday is for those people and those pitmasters and those restaurateurs to come from outside of Charlotte to show off their skills, to kind of highlight their businesses and give our locals an opportunity to eat at places they may not go all the time or certain areas. We love Matthew Register, but he's in the middle of nowhere. We love Dylan at Fort Grove. He's in the middle of nowhere. So, it gives people an opportunity to try different barbecue that they normally wouldn't. And hopefully they go back and travel to them. So that's kind of the Friday night gave us that ability to separate the two.
Right. So it's definitely Charlotte focused. That was the goal for this year. And so we sold out, which was a huge, surprise. Very exciting. We had done the kickoff the year before. It was it was just kind of like, hey, welcome, meet and greet, whatnot. So this year, 2025's kickoff was huge, but it really just shows that there is also this need for our Charlotte community, specifically our Charlotte barbecue community, which we're excited about for 2026. So, we've got a lot in store. And I guess at the end of the day, it's always just about supporting our, city, our community, our people.
Our barbecue brothers.
Yeah, and man, that Friday night kickoff was great. Had some fantastic food there, and it really was cool to see that Charlotte specific spotlight on some stuff that you might not ordinarily think about. So, when you're looking at the 2025 success, how much have you guys raised? And I know this year was a big focus on Operation BBQ Relief, and you've helped out some other charities in the past. But maybe talk a little bit about that barbecue for a cause piece of it, because I know that's an important part. How much have you guys raised to help out other groups throughout the festival?
56,000 is the number to date. So we are thrilled with that. That is the reason we do what we do. And I know this is again on our question list since we did our homework or whatever, is to talk about like how the barbecue festival even got started. But Lewis has always had a vision and to give back to the community. And myself having had a chance to meet some of the, meet Stan with Operation BBQ Relief. I mean, it's just incredible the work that these organizations are doing. So if we can throw a fun party and help them out, it makes sense. There's
everybody
no brainer. And
that's exactly what it is. And, I don't think, any event organizer that you speak to, year 1 and 2 were probably, very difficult for them. As they were for us. A lot of learning curves, a lot of budgetary things, so we've really, I think we've more than doubled like this year's donation. This year's donation obviously was our biggest, but compared to year 1 and 2, we're just, if we keep on that trajectory, we're gonna raise a lot of money.
Yeah, and again, it's going to a great cause.
Yeah.
Barbecue Relief, and I know you guys have helped out some others. So, going back to those surprises and that kickoff, and I just got to give a quick shout out. The Goodyear Goopy Burgers were a favorite for me, and I think it was Improper Pig Chow Bao Brisket.
So good. Yep.
So good. All the food was good, but those were a couple of my favorites. And you talk about the surprise of the kickoff really being such a big success. What else went well, and maybe what else do you guys feel like you want to rethink when you roll it out next year?
Well, I think operationally, looking at it, we think it all went well. And again, that's because, we're year 4. We were in the same space 2 years in a row. That made a big difference. I think anything that we are saying didn't go well is just because it's getting bigger. So all we're doing is having to, when you have an event for 500 people, you might have one registration line. When you have an event for 5,000, which is our goal next year, you need to have 3 or 4 or 5 lines, right? Yeah. So, that kind of stuff is just growth.
Growing pains. Yeah. So having more Pitmasters is, overall fantastic. It's a positive, but at the same time, it's like, okay, now we have more people and,
to take care of.
More things to make sure that we get to them.
Hotels, food, supplies, tables, tents, all that kind of stuff.
And I think it's interesting because as we've grown, people might not understand that there's just two of us, right? And obviously we put our families to work to help us. And so that's also what we're learning, right? So there is, at one point we're doing lines, you're bartending, you're doing all the things is, hopefully we have a big enough team that can support us in making sure that all elements of the festival are fully taken care of.
Breaking down brick pits, shoveling the sand. Oh yeah.
Wiping down tables.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I will confess that I had a great conversation with Lewis's two boys out there by the smoke pit on Friday night. They were building it. They were getting whole hogs on there. And that's part of it that I like to do is kind of see the work in progress, see how the whole hog smoked. And this year was an addition, kind of getting those pits in its own little venue area and a nice time to talk with those guys doing that. So confession there, Lewis, they said some interesting things about you and how much you make them work sometimes. So your family, I know, is an integral part to how these things work out. How many people did y'all have at the festival this year?
So over the weekend, we hit about 3,000.
Wow.
Just like right under. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed during the event, wow, you had a line kind of going around the block of people waiting to get in. So those are things that you're going to work out for next year, get everybody moving in, more gates, all that good stuff. And some other things that I know that you guys have changed over this past year is really expanded into multiple events. I know you've got the kickoff and Big Festival Day, but there's other things going on around it too. Talk about the additional events that y'all are starting to kind of incorporate into that whole Carolina BBQ Festival brand.
You want to go?
Sure, I'll go. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've done it the past couple of years here at Sweet Lew's Barbecue on the patio.
The brunch.
The brunch, and we did the Pig Pickin one year.
Yep.
So we are expanding those. We're working with some local partners again. Max Speed Shop. Has that been announced?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not official. Here we are.
Here we are.
I mean, it has been, we have it confirmed. October 19th of 2025 is the Pig Pickin in partnership with Max Speed Shop. Lots more details to come.
Yes.
We'll be sure to send it all over. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, the brunch started as just hey, let's do a thank you for our partners and
sponsors.
our sponsors and some media, and just like, hey, come hang out. The festival is about a month out. And then this year it was like, oh, well, more people want to come to the brunch. They might not be in town for the festival. Like, okay. And brunch is its own, menu of sorts in itself. So that's kind of how that one tiered off. And then the Pig Pickin just was like, I think we were like missing putting together a festival because it had been a year. So it's like halfway through and we're like, hey, let's just watch football and, eat barbecue, community.
And then again, this year, partnering with Max, they're going to host it over on South Boulevard at their OG location. We're going to bring in some Pitmasters for that as well. I think Erin from John G's will be there. Matt from Midwood will be there. And then I'll be there. And of course, Max will be there. And then we have some surprises for brunch as well that we'll bring in some Pitmasters for.
Yeah, I'll tell you surprises from this past year. That brisket donut sandwich that you made, Lewis, you need to get that on the menu full time. I could eat about 10 of them.
Yeah.
They are pretty good.
They are delicious. Really
good stuff. And you talked about the Pig Pickin at Max Speed Shop. And of course, this is Max's 20th anniversary, and they're celebrating that all year long. And that's just a great combination for a football event and a barbecue event and all that right in the middle of a football season.
Well, and I think if you notice, and Erin worked real close with Max for the barbecue festival this past April, and they came out and they were handing out birthday cake because what we felt like as this organization and what we're trying to do with our festival is elevate and lift up those, right? So that 20-year celebration is huge, and that's where the partnership really began because we wanted to spotlight their 20-year anniversary. Because it's important not only in barbecue in Charlotte, but just as a restaurant period. 20 years is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We had a birthday party at the festival.
Yeah,
and then we'll keep the party going at the Pig Pickin.
Yeah, that'll be great. So what about looking forward? I know you got the Pig Pickin on the list, but what's on your wish list? What would y'all love to incorporate? Maybe even if it's like a big dream that could never happen. What would you like to add to the festival?
Barbecue camp. We're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
So mess hall style, all kinds of ideas up in the mountains, potentially with some partners. So it's on the wish list. Who knows when it'll happen? But yeah, that's a big. Yeah, and we're going to do the
what?
Under the Stars.
Yeah, there's other events. Yeah. I think there's just growing the events, right? Every time we do something, Stan has become, a very close partner of ours.
Yeah.
We try and make sure we're doing things in line with his brand as well as our brand. We're trying to use like partners and sponsors to, because every time we can save, and I'm just going to say, every time we can save $1, we can guarantee Stan 50 cents, right?
Yeah.
So all those kinds of partnerships aligning together to move his mission forward, which is really just our mission as well. So there's other events that, some bougie barbecue, a barbecue camp, dinner under the stars type stuff. But again, and I know it's later in the questionnaire, which we're way off schedule, by the way. But, we are a unique event in the sense that we started this as small business owners. We don't work for free. We don't expect anybody to work for us for free. Those pitmasters are doing real work. So we make sure that they are taken care of in financial ways, hotel rooms, food. Thank you to our sponsors. But, that's real key in what we're trying to do and to continue to grow and do different one-offs or spin-offs of the festival. So that would be our wish list, is that we can continue doing what we do and still hit those missions, right?
Yeah, that's great. And hey, a barbecue camp would be definitely on my wish list. Stay tuned to the lowdown. We'll keep it in the newsletter. As soon as you guys share it, I'll share it with our audiences and make sure they know about it. So you kind of started to move into that other part, the small business piece of it. And I want to talk about you guys and your small businesses. And we've had Lewis on before. We're going to talk about Sweet Lew's, but I want to talk to Erin first and what you've got going in Let's Meet Charlotte. I think you've got a cool organization that's really putting a cool spotlight on other small businesses. So introduce yourselves to our audience.
Oh, so yes. Let's Meet was just built upon supporting the small businesses. So I was, working with small business community, and it just became of how can you elevate and make sure that they're doing well? Because if they're doing well, I feel like then the neighborhoods are doing well, and then the city's doing well, and it kind of all falls into play. I've had a love for marketing and supporting others. So it just kind of built from there. And it was working with like small business.
Erin loves to throw a party.
Yeah.
That too. That helps. But also like to work to hear what the small business, what their goals are, and then how do you make it happen, right? The biggest challenge, and I do know this as a small business, is you have big visions and then you need help implementing them, right? And there's lots of different ways to do that. But if you have a team that is like dedicated to figuring that out with you, I think that's, how the success of Let's Meet CLT, kind of evolved. It's always changing though. Let's, can't get away from that. But it was really just the love of helping people, helping small businesses.
Yeah, and at your website, Let's Meet CLT, so Let's Meet Charlotte, Let's Meet CLT.com. You got a nice list of some of those projects. I see Plaza Midwood, I see Sweet Lew's, Jet's Pizza, Thomas Streetery, No Filter Call. So a lot of those local small businesses that are sort of the lifeblood of every community, especially in Charlotte. And again, one of those is Sweet Lew. So Lewis, talk about Sweet Lew's barbecue. We know kind of how you got started, but how are things going with the business there? You've been at it a few years now. You're starting to get some routine and some traffic. How is the Sweet Lew's operation working?
I think all we're trying to do and maintain is consistency, right? I think that's the hardest thing out there in restaurants. Our staff has been very consistent, but keeping it consistent, where Erin branding, consistent events, consistent messages, marketing, all that kind of stuff. I think it really does pay off in the long run. I can be tough to deal with during the process, but so I would say year 7, right now, we are just trying to expand our footprint, if you will, in some ways, and just going down different avenues for different lines of revenue, always working on stuff. And there's no bad idea, whether it's new signature sausages. I think we're going to come out with it's one we've done before, but we're going to continue doing it every day.
Patio parties, because everybody loves a party with smash burgers, just some fun, some fun foods, and just, you know,
getting into the whole hog. So you saw last weekend we did whole hog all weekend.
Yep.
We're going to do it again Father's Day weekend, 4th of July. You know, just some different stuff, some collaborations. We did one with Bang Bang Burgers yesterday
for National Burger Day. Yeah.
I think in July we're doing one that we haven't announced yet or really settled on, but it'll be a really fun one. So yeah, I mean, just not turning down any opportunities or ideas.
Sure. And speaking of not turning down, I'll never turn down free beer. So Free Beer Friday is always a big thing for me. I haven't made it there yet, but I see you on Instagram. I'm jealous. I need to get down there for it. And kind of speaking about that Free Beer Friday and what you got going on there in Belmont's neighborhood, here comes another curveball. The Belmont neighborhood around you seems like it's really starting to kind of continue to blossom just like your business has. How do you feel like that's your business and that growth has kind of helped everybody rise that ship up with a higher tide?
I mean, you know, we've all been here kind of grinding it out, you know, Ace number 3, Bloom and Bottle, you know, what is that? Super Abari over here.
A favorite of mine and my kids for sure.
Oh man, that place is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been grinding it out and doing our thing and keeping our head down and just pushing forward. And, you know, it's all about just, again, consistency, right? So, you know, as the local business owners, I think that, you know, we do bring, you know, people to the neighborhood. And when we bring them here, we want to show them a good neighborhood. So that's keeping our properties clean, you know, being hospitable, you know, throwing events and having parties and just showing a good time. And I think we all do a great job at that. So it's definitely a neighborhood thing that's kept it going. And, you know,
Charlotte overall is just booming.
Yeah, Charlotte's crazy.
I mean, it's just growing. So, you know, we're lucky to be in the center city too.
Yeah, we're close
seeing,
enough.
you know, a ton of that growth. Just, you know, so yeah, I mean, I would say, of course, it's doing well. I mean, it's helping.
Yeah,
like you said, everybody.
Yeah, we're all rising together.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and again, the proximity is great. You're just right there on the edge, of sort of the center city part. It's easy to get out to your spot, and a lot of some growing things going on around it. And again, let's get back to the barbecue festival piece, and because I'm curious, how did Let's Meet and Sweet Lew's meet to create the barbecue festival? How did this get all hatched between you two guys?
I mean, the first part of that is, you know, is during COVID, and Erin and Let's Meet, with her small business mentality, and me being, you know, a kitchen guy, back of the house kind of guy, not a front of the house guy. You know, she came in and, you know, we started branding better, more consistent. We started doing some marketing, more consistent. And then Erin threw a couple parties. She likes throwing parties. And then, you know, I don't know, that's how we met and started working together. That was probably 21.
Yeah. And then I think, and I've told this story a bunch because it's just so simple, right? We were like having a meeting, sitting out on the patio at Sweet Lew's, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about doing a barbecue festival?" And I was like, never thought about it, but tell me a little bit more. Like, what's the vision, right? And I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it, right? So it was literally like, all right, you tell me the vision, I'll get to work on, you know, who are we going to be working with? What is the logo going to look like? What are our colors going to be? What is the event feel going to be like? What are people going to expect? And it was
all that stuff that I don't.
Yeah. But ultimately, he's like, I think that we should do this. And I was like, okay, let's give it a go. And here we are 5 years later, which is, you know, speaks volume. Excuse me. Like it does. It's very,
well, I mean, we're both like-minded. We're both small business owners. We both want to barbecue for a cause. We both love our city. So it was kind of, and as you can tell, through year 1 through 4, it's changed and evolved, grown, obviously. But all that's come with just, you know, a good review of what we did, what worked, what didn't work, and how we can grow. And again, small business minded. And then really, I think partnering with Stan has kind of really, and we're full disclosure. Like when we talk to our Pitmasters afterwards, you know, we tell them what's going on, what worked, what didn't work. what we got to change for next year,
Mm-hmm.
or what they can expect for next year. And we take their feedback, which I think is important, because if something they don't give a lot of feedback other than coolers.
And I don't check my email.
And I don't
Please
check my
text
email.
me. I'm like, oh, okay, good to know.
I know that's true.
Yeah. And, but that's real, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to cater to them and make this easy. The more easy we can make this for them, the better we feel about what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of why Stan loves being a part of it, because he knows how much we take care of the Pitmasters.
Yeah, and Stan's great, and I'd love to have him there. And local guy here in Hickory, Scott Jarrett, I know is involved in it. So it's really cool to have that group. And boy, they come out in force. There's a red and black army out there with their cookers and really put in a lot of work for it.
Oh, you're going to see it next year.
Yeah, we're really excited about some of the partnership that we have. But kind of to go back to like also with the festival itself and like how it started, I think that we both love food too. So that was like super important. And what's been interesting over the years is when it was like, hey, barbecue. I was like, wait, I'm from Charlotte. I'm like, barbecue. What do you mean? That's just like chopped pork, because that's all I know. Now I've learned so much.
Yeah.
So that when I travel, I I'm looking up the barbecue restaurants to go eat at. So that for me has been like,
which has
the
helped
best
me.
part.
Makes my job easier if she's a little more educated on barbecue.
Yeah, that's good to know. So
I love cooking.
We're on the food scene kind of topic there about Charlotte. Let's talk a little bit about that. How would you describe the Charlotte food and event scene today, and how do you feel like it's evolved over the past several years? You kind of hinted on that a moment ago, Erin.
Gosh, I mean, we're growing, right? So there's just so much. I think a recent list came out with like 75 new places opening. Wow. Right. So, I mean, I can't even keep up. Like, I can't keep up. So it just speaks volume to like the amount of people moving into Charlotte and the food. I think it's getting better, right? Like, if that's the correct term, like we're getting, and you can speak to this as like a, chef from like the restaurant side of things, right? Elevated or just, different, not different. What am I looking for? Like, what's the word?
I think what we're finding is
more variety.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of cultural events going on, right? Mm-hmm. I think last weekend or the weekend before we had a Filipino event somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They always do the empanada event over at Camp North End. We had a street Asian food event late April, early May at some point. So I think you're seeing a lot more food events. Mm-hmm. And I think, there's different kinds of events, different levels of events, if you will. I think we have a good mix of what those are, whether it's just a food truck gathering and you're just buying food from different food trucks, mm-hmm. or it's a ticketed event where food's included, indoor, outdoor,
high end.
Yeah. I think we could use some more higher end stuff.
Oh,
like if you look at that dinner in the field, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. That's like the vision for dinner.
Yeah, it's under the stars.
Under the stars.
So
they're doing something right.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah, we like it. It's great.
Yeah.
But, we are who we are as a food city, and we just need to be consistent and focus on who we are and try and expand from who we are, not change who we are, right? I think too many times, people just try and continue to change and evolve who they are, not grow who they are, if that makes sense.
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, this is a barbecue podcast, and North Carolina is a barbecue state, but Charlotte may not have always been thought of as a barbecue city. Where's barbecue fitting into the larger food scene there in the Queen City these days?
So we're going to go back to earlier in this conversation about the barbecue festival. Something obviously, I wanted to throw a festival to raise money, right? And be able to donate and cook with some people and have fun. Erin wanted to throw a party, so it worked well. The other piece of that is bringing the spotlight to Charlotte barbecue, right? Bringing, we're in North Carolina. We are the redheaded stepchild when it comes to barbecue in North Carolina. Raleigh's got more credit than we do.
Mm.
Obviously, the whole Eastern state, Lexington is its own style.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you get out further west, we are just the redheaded stepchild never thought of. So, even people in the States say, why would I go to Charlotte for barbecue?
Right.
And that needs to change, and it's changing. It has changed a lot. So I think in a broader picture for our barbecue festival and who we are as a company and who we want to be, we want to continue to push not only Charlotte, but Carolina as a whole to the upper tiers. The North Carolina BBQ Trail doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
We're working on Carolina BBQ Festival passport, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it will. But it's just barbecue as a whole, right? But we're in Charlotte, so Charlotte's our spotlight.
Yeah. Well, what do you feel like's missing from the Charlotte barbecue scene?
So this is kind of hard because you don't want to come across. I'm from Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Like born and raised, and we did not eat barbecue in Charlotte. The only thing I knew, like I said, was chopped pork, was Lexington, right? So I think that there's this educational piece for the unicorns like myself who still live in Charlotte, right? But then seeing all different people move here who have a different idea of what barbecue is, I think that there's room for growth from everybody because there's so many different styles and what people might expect or what they think of barbecue. So I think there's room for improvement, maybe in a sense. Like there's so much that can be offered.
There's a lot out there. When you talk about North Carolina barbecue, what's missing in Charlotte is whole hog. When you talk about barbecue, what's missing in Charlotte is probably more of the barbecue ambiance versus a restaurant ambiance.
Oh.
So I would say if you go to 10 barbecue restaurants in Texas, you're not going to get a hostess and a wine list at any of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to 10 barbecue joints in North Carolina, you're going to get seated and tableside service and a wine list at least 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very big difference between barbecue community or what barbecue is versus your menu offerings, right?
Yeah.
I think we have tons of brisket now in the city. I think everybody's doing ribs. I'd like to see more turkey, I'd like to see more sausage. But there's a lot of other stuff out there when it comes to the side items.
Yeah.
And I think to Erin's point, we can serve chopped pork and red slaw all day long and be successful to the Charlotteans. And I would love to see a poll of how many people live here that are actually still from here versus how many people aren't and the percentage.
Yeah, a ton.
Because those are the ones you need to cater to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. I don't think Garen, I'm not speaking for him, but he doesn't want to be that. Midwood is who they are. Say who you are. Let somebody else come in and be,
something different.
The Tex-Mex, brick and mortar, beef cheek, barbacoa,
so good.
elote salad. Let them be that. That would be awesome if somebody came in and was that,
And that was going to be my vote. We need more beef cheeks. Ever since I've been to Palmyra and had what he's got going on down there, let's get beef cheeks on the menu.
I'm already like, can you do a special? Because I just had them for the first time, and I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was like, these things it was incredible. So good.
Done right.
We're working on a new signature item. I think we're R&Ding next week. And then we'll probably have it on before Father's Day. But we're in North Carolina. We're not going to do a beef cheek. We're going to do a pork cheek.
Okay.
That's tempting. And that's a good spot to say that, you guys have been generous with your time. We'll try to wrap it up here. And I want to ask both of you, what keeps your fire burning? It's a lot of work. You're having a lot of fun, I know. But what really keeps you doing it year after year as you head into year number 5?
Go ahead. Ladies first.
No, go first.
I think for me, it's the excitement of, it's nervousness, but it's the excitement of day of, right? Like you see all these people coming together, and I'm just gonna say, you get to write Stan a check at the end, and you're like, yeah,
cool, we did
that was
something.
cool.
It was.
And it's something that I rely on all throughout the year to say, you know what, as a small business, this is what I do. I spend my time. I focus on this event. We raise a ton of money for this organization. It aligns with who I am, what I am, and my brand. And, gift cards to, this, that, and the other. I'm not your guy. I don't donate a lot to those bigger organizations, if you will. I don't do any other events. We do an event that, we believe in, and we see where our money goes.
Yeah. It's a roller coaster ride, and I continue to get on it and then get off of it and get on it. It's what it is. And it's like, it's just the excitement. Yeah. And the team, so I don't see these guys nearly as much, obviously, as Lewis does, but it's always fun, to see the guys that have returned, and their families. And it's just, it makes the work be for a good cause, which is just different than like work. So I think that's what keeps me going, and it's a fun party. Duh.
Yeah, definitely a fun party. And with that, my friends, we'll take that as the final word from the team behind the Carolina BBQ Festival. Lewis Donald, the smoke tender at Sweet Lew's Barbecue, and Erin Hunter from Let's Meet Charlotte. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream. Share that podcast with all your food-loving friends wherever they are in North Carolina and beyond. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can see all the photos, videos, and interviews from our barbecue adventures. And, of course, don't forget, when you visit lowslowbbqshow.com, you can sign up for our newsletter and get the latest barbecue news delivered to your inbox, whether it's about the Carolina BBQ Festival or anything else going on the Carolina barbecue scene. We've got your inbox hit Tuesday mornings. Thanks again to our guests today, Lewis Donald and Erin Hunter. Thanks as well to the whole team at the Mesh.tv network of podcasts, especially our producer, Andrew Moose. He's the man who makes us sound so good week after week. Finally, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.